Welcome to episode 46, No Treble. This is Talking Technique and this is Ari. As promised in the last episode, here are more rhythmic ideas for spicing up walking bass lines. And this time we're going to be using triplets. As is my style, I'm giving you systematic ways to practice these ideas so you have them under your fingers on all beats of the bar and with a few note options ready to go for the chords that we're talking about here. Hopefully this will also give you material to create your own ideas for exercises from these core concepts. Now, this is all about making your palette of possibilities bigger, and a great way to do that is through comprehensive practice. In this episode, I'm looking at triplets played in a descending motion. And you can, I'm going to be using, for my example here, I'm going to be using 3 strings. So a triplet's played over 3 strings. Doesn't always have to be that way. We'll do other examples too. In this case, 3 strings, so you can rake them, meaning using the same finger for all 3 notes, right? Or you can switch and alternate the fingers. Index, middle, index, or middle, index, middle. They sound a little differently, so I recommend you practice them both ways. The thing with triplets is you want to plan ahead a little because we are putting 3 notes into the space of 1. So it's nice to have shapes that make sense with the respective chord symbol under your fingers ready to go. The possibilities here are vast, of course, and for the sake of a focused practice session, I like to narrow it down and give myself very specific assignments. I'm going to be using only triad notes, only notes out of the triad. So if it's a C minor 7 or if it's a G7 sharp 9 flat 9, doesn't matter. I'll just use the bare bones triad notes. Okay, root, 3rd, 5th. As always, the systematic way of practicing is a stepping stone. You want to get comfortable with all angles in the focused practice session and then put the restrictions aside and play freely. Having the shapes under your fingers and the freedom to play them on whatever beat in the bar so you can let the music guide you and you are free to take clues from your bandmates and whatever else happens in the song. You practice it and then you put it in your back pocket, and when the music beckons, it's there. What often happens, and this is a pattern we want to break through, is we're just using certain shapes that we have under our fingers, always on a certain beat in the bar, and we get used to them and they become part of our repertoire, but it could be much bigger. So hence we're doing this comprehensive practice where we're extending it to every single beat of the bar and giving ourselves certain assignments with the tonal material. So please make sure to review episode 45, where I talk about walking quarter notes and making them swing. I think that's a really important foundation of what we're doing here with the triplets. It's important to have the timing right, not only with the metronome, with iReal Pro or a similar gadget, band in a box or something like that, but also to play as much as possible with a real drummer. You can also use something like Abersold backing tracks, but you want to get a real good sense of that swing feel so you can respond to it. And the swing feel that a drummer, a live human being, will send you will be less mechanic than what some of the gadgets will send you. So you want to make sure to review episode 45, where I talk about making just the quarter note swing, because that's a really important foundation to creating rhythmic embellishments to get that feel right. Now, a word on tonal material. Typically, we recommend to play the root on beat 1. Now, you don't always have to do that, but until you have a better idea of what effect not playing the root on beat 1 has in the context of the line and the song, I recommend you stick with the root. So for the purpose of this exercise, on beat 1, we're going to stick with the root for now. And if I stick with the root and do a triplet drop from the top, then the only way to do that is by playing a inverted triad, because remember we're sticking to triads in this exercise. So I am playing on beat 1, C minor 7. My notes are C, E flat, and G. From the top, that's C, G, E flat. That constitutes a first inversion triad. So 1 and a 2, 3, 4, right? The rest of the measure, I'll just use regular quarter notes. And the assignment is we're going to do that for every single beat 1. I'm going to place a triplet, and you might want to sort out what the notes are. So C minor 7 and then F7 will get you to these three notes. F, C, A flat, and then the B flat major 7, B flat, F, D. That's the same as major, right? So the major triad here has a minor third in between these two fingers when you do the inversion, and then you're going to the G7. So you can play those three notes. It's altered, so you have all sorts of options for the third and even the fifth, but I recommend to just keep it bare bones because that'll never get in the way. So here we go. And let's put that in context. Now for beat 2, you may not want to necessarily start this with the root because you have already played the root in beat 1. So that'd be a little bit repetitive. So let's give ourselves the assignment to put the third on the beat 2. So again, let's figure out the notes. This now makes this chord a second inversion. And that would be the C minor, E flat, C, G. And then for the F7, right? And then for the B flat major, we'll start here. Or you can do, but it's really, especially if you're breaking, you kind of have to put them on three different strings. And then for the G7, starting on the third. So now we're moving on to beat 3, and beat 3 is kind of an interesting one. If you put a triplet just on beat 3, 1, 2, 3, end of 4, 1, 2, 3, end of 4. If you do that, then it kind of feels to me like you're stopping the flow of the music in the middle of the measure. So let's put something on beat 4. That could be either one of those burps, or we can put another set of triplets. So just some rhythmic embellishment, some kind of skip, slur, something. And tonal material, anything goes. We're in beat 3, so the root sounds great, which is the first inversion, or the third sounds good, which is the second inversion. But you could also do the root position, which is the, starting from the 5th down. So let's try that. Okay, so that is beat 3, and lastly, we're gonna do beat 4. What I did there on the last note, something like that, that's a good example of some of the many other things you can do with triplets, because it sounds really cool if you we've been doing triplets now over 3 strings, right? But nobody says you couldn't do something like, so incorporating a pull-up, for example, or into the open string, right? Instead of always going down strictly in one direction, you can go up or do a combination of up and down. So, things like that. And combine it with other kinds of rhythmic embellishments. Use it with taste. But once you have practiced it, you let the practice mode, where you're strictly restricting your tonal material and strictly restricting on which beat you're placing it, you let that go and open up to the music and place it where it fits creatively. I will play you out with an example of that. Again, the book that I highly recommend about modern walking bass technique is by Mike Richmond. Hard to get. Check out my website, ariasbassblog.com. Under the resources section, I found a link on Amazon where it's currently available. And that's still good. I just checked it earlier today. And my book, Music Theory for the Bass Player, if you have questions about the inversions, the triad inversions, the theory behind that, it's all in there.